What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. It's episode number 44. And we start today's episode off by simulating through to the Chelsea game, where as you can see, just before it we saw the draw for the FA Cup third round. We've got lower league Fleetwood Town away from home, and I mean, it was kind of predictable, right? Obviously in the 3 seasons with Burnley, one of the main reasons the Gunners have brought us here to the Emirates Stadium is because of our fantastic record in the FA Cup. Back-to-back finals, won it in Season 2, reached the semi-finals last year as well. But I'm the first to admit it, I've had some really lucky cup draws in this save so far, and Fleetwood Town, FA Cup third round away from home, no disrespect, but we are firm favourites of that clash there, and a great chance to progress through to the last 32. Following that, we did for our Romanian centre mid, which we accepted, and also Jonathan Carpenter would get his position change completed. He grew 6 ratings to 66 overall. Looks very, very handy, this lad. No pun intended. And, who am I kidding? Pun intended. And, yeah, looks very, very handy. Looks very, very decent indeed. And, yeah, Jonathan Carpenter, maybe, just maybe, this could be the youth style we've been searching for since this save began. No pressure. No pressure. Still, first game of today's episode on the back of the win against Everton in the last game and the last episode. Nice little streak for Arsenal. Also, we went to a really poor run of form, just 1 win in 5, but now nice little unbeaten stretch for the Gunners as we come here to take on Chelsea at the Emirates Stadium. Obviously, a really, really awesome fixture when I was a youngster, Arsenal versus Chelsea. It still is nowadays as well. And Chelsea last year, of course, finished in 5th, so just like the Gunners failed to qualify for the Champions League, both teams are going to be desperate this season to break in to the top 4. Both teams will say the minimum expectation is the top 4, so this is a really big game here midway through December. Missed a great chance in the first half through Kulusevski with Mendy off his line, then a golden one-on-one chance which I spurned and put wide of the post. Chelsea didn't attack much in the game, I must be honest, pretty defence-minded in this one from Tuchel's side. With 20 minutes to go, great save by Leno, and then club captain Kieran Tierney blocking the rebound with the goal gaping. Very defensively valiant effort from both sides in this game. And I must say as well, another clean sheet for Leno. And since we replaced Casteels with Leno in our first team, I gotta be honest here, Leno, despite being a rating lower, is giving me more confidence. His clean sheet to game ratio is already higher than the Belgians, though there is of course a smaller sample size as he's played a few less games than the Belgium. But yeah, I must say Leno coming back in, our number 1, starting most of our games now. I feel very confident with him between the sticks. And again, we're selling Casteels to PSG once the January window opens, as it does towards the end of today's episode. We're getting 45 million for it as well, and I think that could prove to be a very smart piece of business with Leno stepping in to become our number 1 once again. Still, for the second game of 5 in today's episode, this was the one I was waiting for since we moved to the Gunners. Obviously, the 2 teams I was most excited to face, you know them both, right? Burnley, our former side, but also these guys, Tottenham Hotspur, Spurs, away in North London, as we'd have our first North London derby of the series. Really excited for it. We started off in attack mode. I didn't just want to draw this game, I wanted to win it. And 10 minutes before the break, oh yeah, you love to say, what's that saying I love to say? If you're going to score your first goal for your club, make it a memorable one. Ben Godfrey picked up the knock against the Toffees, right back in the first team, and what does he do? Heads in his first goal for his club in a North London derby in front of the travelling fans. How cool was that camera angle, by the way? I mentioned before, guys, seriously, pre-game, I know I've said this so many times, but take note of where the away fans are housed when you're the visiting team. It looks really, really cool when you celebrate alongside them, especially in a big game like this one. So yeah, Arsenal in front courtesy of Godfrey's first goal for the club, though Spurs would equalise right after the hour mark. Lo Celso making it 1-1. It was a very, very tight and even contest, this one. 1-1 probably was the right result, to be fair, as we claim a point. So yeah, back-to-back draws, the win streak over and just 2 points from a possible 6, but it's all about perspective. These are the teams who we know we're going to have to compete with if we are to finish in the top 4. Just making sure we don't lose is the most important thing. We lost earlier on this season to both Liverpool and Manchester United and Manchester City. Those are damaging defeats there against sides that we're competing with for a top 4 place. We can't afford many losses against the big teams if we are to battle with them and beat them to a top 4 place. So draws, to me, against those sides right now it's not a bad result. It's not a bad result at all, especially away from home like that game was as well. The most important thing is we don't lose. Look, when we're going for the title, and I hope we will soon, when we're going for a Premier League title, then we'll start targeting wins. But before that, we've got to remember where we are right now. Arsenal finished 10th last season. We're a side in rebuild mode, side in major transition. Look, points against the big teams. I'll take them every day of the week. And so for the third game of today's episode, Christmas Eve, all I wanted under my tree was 3 points on the 24th of December. Started the game off, made a few changes to my lineup on the back of the back-to-back draws, including giving Kasper Dolberg a start as the Dane scored to make it 1-0 before Reiss Nelson made it 2-0. And you might have noticed pre-game as well, I was trying him in the attacking midfield role with Smith Rowe on the bench for this game. Obviously with Smith Rowe being one of our players of the season, you know, that is sort of his position to lose, if you will. But Nelson, I love it when he's really direct in this team. Better when stepping in from the left, but also when playing through the middle, looks very handy indeed. So he made it 2-0, and whilst Hornets would get back in the game through Ismail Assar, we had a golden chance to wrap it up 8 minutes to go. Fantastic saves, it was still 2-1. Out of a minute on the clock, a chance for Watford to rescue a big point on Christmas Eve, but what a save by Leno. And I gotta say, I said it earlier in today's episode here as well, I have to say, I think I've made the right call. Selling Casteels for 45 mil to PSG. Yes, he's our highest rated goalkeeper, but Leno is not a step down. And to be honest here, he's already got a better clean sheet to game ratio than the Belgian. I think I've made the right choice, putting Leno back in our first 11 and having him as our starting number 1. He just gives me more confidence between the sticks. Great save there, and he won us the game really with a big save to make sure he'd hold on to the 3 points in the dying second. So 2-1 as we return to winning ways against Watford. And for the fourth game of today's episode, Manchester United away at Old Trafford. God, when I was a kid, I used to love the Manchester United versus Arsenal clashes. So many amazing ones over the years, especially in the Wenger and Ferguson years. The rivalry those two had as managers and these two had as clubs was fantastic. But unfortunately, this game was not one of those classics that you remember all those years ago. Sylvain Wiltord's title-winning goal at Old Trafford all those years ago. Manchester United's big win at Highbury 4-2, featuring that John O'Shea chip. Obviously the infamous 8-2 victory, if you will, where Wenger, many people say that was the beginning of the end for Arsene Wenger, that game, of course. There was the FA Cup semi-final they had back in 2009, I think it was. The clashes, the Ruud van Nistelrooy incident all those years ago. God, I'm gleaming remembering these games as a kid, but that wasn't quite one of those classics there, a goal of straw at Old Trafford. But again, I'll take it. Just not losing to the big teams is the most important thing as you try and stay with them in the race to the top 4. And for our fifth and final game of December 2023, taking on lower league Fleetwood Town here in the FA Cup third round. Once again, mentioned before, one of the reasons why the Gunners brought me to the Emirates Stadium is due to our fantastic record in the FA Cup. So I felt very confident indeed. I did still pick quite a strong lineup though, because again, I'm not going to underestimate any of the sides we face in the FA Cup, but also again, if I want to make sure that people know that this is the competition that we really go for, I'm not going to just field a load of kids and a load of backup players. No, I'm going to field some of my starters in the game and show that I take this competition very seriously because I want to extend my great record in it. Smith Rowe, once again though, I mean this dude, seriously, just stop it. We were 3-0 up before the break, and right before the half-time whistle, Kulusevski steps in from the right to make it 4. And again, this is one of the reasons I picked a really, really strong lineup here. No disrespect to Fleetwood, I felt confident regardless, but I wanted to make a statement. Big victory here after just 1 win in our last 4 games, and away from home, 4-0 up right before the break, and 7 minutes after the restart, Reiss Nelson would make it 5 in what was an absolutely dominant display here away from home, and it took me a while to get this celebration done as well. Ran all the way to the corner flag just so I could celebrate with the travelling fans. I'm a real sucker for it, you know. I'm a real sucker for those sort of animations and the camera angles when you see the away fans celebrating with the players as well. Still 5-0 to the Gunners. Smith Rowe's hat-trick, Kulusevski with 1, and Reiss with another as well. And past the hour mark here, a chance to make it 6. Martinelli, lovely little body feint to beat his man here. Whips one to the backstick, and who's there to turn it in? Kasper Dolberg. Dolberg the Dane with another goal. 6-0 Arsenal. Really dominant display. And again, another hat-trick for Emile Smith-Rowe. He's already got 2 hat-tricks this season. 1 in the league, 1 in the FA Cup. I told you, man. I told you, as good as Reece Nelson's been for 95 mil, it's Smith Rowe. He's the guy right now that I'm absolutely loving, and I would say has been our player of the season so far. So Smith Rowe's hat-trick and a 6-0 win gives us the progression through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. And also speaking of 4 as well, Mikel Merino sadly did pull his quad. He'll be out for 4 weeks, almost most of January. And speaking of 4, hey, there we are after a nice little unbeaten run. Arsenal back in the top 4. Man City leading the way, still undefeated through their first 21 games. The champions look like the best team in this save, and no one seems capable of stopping them on a consistent basis. But we're back in the top 4, but it is worth pointing out there's only 2 points separating 4th to 8th. It's very, very tight indeed. 17 games to go, just past the halfway point in the season right now. Smith Rowe is still leading the way in the race for the assist title, with Josh De Silva and Reece Nelson and KDB as well, not too far behind. But yeah, right now, back into 4th place, but just 2 points separating 4th to 8th. There's an awful long way to go. We're not counting our chickens just yet. If we are to finish in that 4th and final spot, I think looking at the table right now and the points separating 3rd to 4th, I really feel as though the top 3 isn't necessarily set. I do think Man City will win the Premier League once again, but Liverpool and Manchester United to me look as though they'll definitely be good enough to finish in 2nd and 3rd, but I think that 4th and final spot might be the only one available. So if we are to claim it, we'll have to be consistently good in the second half of the season and make sure if we can't beat the biggest of teams, make sure we don't slip up into games where we're certainly favourites to win. So as the January transfer window would open, as you can see, Casteels deal has gone through, and just a sale of him and Zach Medley going to Ashton Gate, 55 million in the transfer budget for January. And the question is, where do we reinvest that money? On what area and on what player? Now, you'd say the only concern for the Arsenal team right now is the lack of squad depth. There's no doubt about it. It's a really thin squad, but due to the fact, again, we're not playing European football this year, it's not too big of a deal. But of course, if we are going to be competitive in the FA Cup and trying to challenge for a top 4 place as well, we will need as many bodies as possible, just in case we get some injuries and suspensions along the way. But I would say right now 55 million. I want a more capable backup goalkeeper for the bench. I've already got my number 1 target in mind. I'm definitely going to try and sign him in this January window. I think Saka's a bit out of our price range. I don't think we need a backup striker right now, because I trust Casper Dolberg to fill in for Luis Suarez when the Colombian's not striking him in, firing him, I should say, on a regular basis. But looking at the squad here, I'd say possibly a new centre-half, possibly a backup centre-half, especially with Mikel Merino going down for the 4 weeks in January. Maybe a backup left-back as well, as we don't really have one at the moment. Maybe a backup central midfielder as well. Do I like Guendouzi a lot? I'm not entirely sure. With 55 million to play with and the whole of January to work with as well, I'm sure we'll be spending a lot of that money and bringing in some new signings very soon. But that was this episode of Realistic Career, guys. Big thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please drop a like. Most of you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Realistic Career Mode. We're going to splash some cash very soon.